Nation, what a year at IT Nation. Met Dux. We'll talk about Dux in a moment and introduce him, but the IT Nation Connect 2024, it's the Rose Bowl. It's the granddaddy of them all. You got to go. You got to go. And I'm not suggesting it's the only one you go to. By my count and talking to PR, roughly 4,500 on site, which is probably even with last year, but that's a big number. And then I think it was 2,500, 3,000 online. The funny thing about online is it's really hard to visualize that. It's really hard to get your arms around online. But it also accommodates a global enterprise like ConnectWise that's quickly approaching $1 billion in revenue. I track them as an analyst, but someone I bumped into, in no small part because they were giving away a Ducati motorcycle. Unfortunately, I was prohibited from joining the contest as media. You know how that goes. You can't do that. But I did meet Dux Raymond Sy. Dux, how you doing?
Harry, fantastic. Talk about a phenomenal event. You were telling me you walk what, 8 miles or 10 miles the first day?
Oh yeah. I'm off camera, but I'm lifting my sports watch, and it don't lie. Yeah, probably 10 plus. My legs were sore. I had to take a day off and just watch college football, to be honest. My legs were sore. Well, let's start with some fun, and then we'll talk about, well, first of all, your background briefly, and then we're going to have a little fun, and then we're going to talk about AvePoint and what you're doing now and in 25.
Fantastic. Well, Harry, thank you for this opportunity. Hey, everybody. My name is Dux Raymond Sy. I serve as the Chief Brand Officer here at AvePoint, and I think I'm one of the few very technical brand or marketing leaders in the industry. My
Yeah.
background is I'm a assembler programmer. For those listeners who don't know what assembler is, you weren't born yet. But so I've been in tech for a long time and worked on this industry before the technology SharePoint was SharePoint. So that's where I started to expand my repertoire, written books about SharePoint when it was still on-prem, got involved with Microsoft investment in BPOS, Office 365, and Microsoft 365, and joined AvePoint 12 years ago. So fast forward to today, just having a blast working with a lot of our partners around the world to help them build a business around data security, which is really, really important in the age of AI.
Yeah, and then the fun element, and then we'll move on to some serious stuff. But I attended the drawing for the Ducati, and I noticed a couple things. First of all, huge crowd, everybody holding up their ticket, and excitement and noise. The second thing is that, and I thought it was worth noting. It was a little bit humorous, but because of the noise from the drawing, it kind of drowned out the other booths next to you for about 10, I don't know, 5 minutes, couple minutes. I mean, it's all good, but I enjoyed a
Well,
chuckle.
well, thank you, Harry. If you go to YouTube, just search AvePoint Ducati. We've done it for a long time in lots of events, Microsoft events, and this is the first time actually we've done it in a channel event. It's just so much fun, a lot of energy, people are excited, and just that moment when the person wins is just gold.
Yeah, you're busy as bees up there on stage, I tell you. At Point, as I discussed with you at the event, I think we need to reintroduce you to our community because um, I never really thought of you as a SMB MSP channel partner play. So again, we kind of had that talk, but for the sake of the audience, is that kind of accurate? And where are we at today? Because you're here.
Absolutely. So AvePoint is a global leader in data security, governance, and data resiliency. We have the biggest platform today supporting a lot of the what I would call the productivity clouds, Microsoft 365, Google, Salesforce. And at the end of the day, our technology ensures that if you have data in the productivity cloud, it's well protected, governed, and secure. We've been in the business over 21 years. And you're exactly right. We started our business really working with large organizations, or as they would say, enterprise customers, from banks to the U.S. government, to the customers in Europe and Asia and Australia. And thanks to the cloud, our enterprise technology is now available to everyone as a SaaS offering. And as such, a few years ago, we realized that the same need our large customers have is no different from customers that may be a little smaller, SMB. But the reality is, we're not that big to be able to get into a lot of these customers. So a few years ago, we formally launched our partner program, our channel ecosystem, and we're so grateful. Fast forward today, we have over 4,000 partners worldwide. But
Yeah, that's a good number. That's hard
yeah,
earned, let me tell you.
thank you. And essentially, what a lot of our partners, especially MSPs, would do is take our technology and build a services offering, and which is really exciting, right? Because a lot of MSPs out there, specific, for example, to the cloud, Microsoft 365, a lot of MSPs manage the tenant, makes money off of Microsoft licensing and maybe help their customers migrate or maybe backup, which we can certainly help you with. But beyond that, what's exciting to me is, in the age of AI, everyone's excited about things like Copilot or Gemini. It's new, but what we're seeing is organizations and customers are getting stuck because their data estate is not ready. So what MSPs are doing, they're taking our product, building a practice to get their customers ready for AI, making sure their data is of good quality, is in good hygiene, and then once customers are using Copilot, making sure it's well secured as well. It's only the right people getting the right information at the right time. So a lot of our MSPs are thriving, and because of our robust platform offering, our MSPs are building more services that's recurring month after month.
Yeah, what I would, if you don't mind, what I would tell you, you're hitting on something interesting that I have a little sensitivity to. But first, let me tell you, I'm in Austin, Texas, so let me use a little Texas slang that I'd rather be early for dinner than late for supper, because your mama doesn't want you late for the meal she cooked. And the analogy is this. I've been too early in certain Microsoft spaces, and I would offer you have too. BPOS was arguably too early, right? And the branding was horrible. It sounded like a
Sure.
virus. But then came 365, and we did the same thing with Small Business Server. We developed it in '97.
Right.
And Dux, we really didn't make bank until 2003,
Sure.
right? Now, here's my point. I'd rather be early than late. And by being early, it takes a certain amount of patience. But you're carving out a beachhead, and I would offer Copilot's exactly that. I've been tracking it, and I'm in some different partner groups and the monthly luncheon, and the feeling for S&B is arguably, and I concur, we might be too early. Copilot is very well placed for the enterprise and larger entities, but it's how the game's played. You got to start now. You want to bounce off what I'm saying, Dux?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah. So that
I
that
think it's
that
good that you're in the space, but
yep.
it's going to take some patience. And I'm your friend.
Absolutely. So let me react to that. I think that's a very good point, right? Obviously, especially for our MSP partners. On one hand, we need to keep the lights on. We need to keep business moving. But on the other hand, we know this is coming. It's just a matter of when, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But you
Yeah.
can't just stop everything you're doing and focus on what's coming. So how we work with a lot of partners out there, especially MSPs, because of the full suite of technology we have, we help them first and foremost. Let's say they still have customers wanting to move to 365. We have migration technology that they can build a service upon. Check. But that's transactional. And then we have a world-class backup technology that, frankly, all customers need today in light of things like ransomware or other threats out there. That right there is something that they can build a service upon that's recurring. And I think what's also important for partners that are serving our US government or the federal market, we're the only vendor for MSPs that has FedRAMP and GCC high, which is important. A lot of the federal agencies now have CMMC requirements, SOC 2 requirements, and we're here to support and grow your business. And then let's move on. Let's talk about Copilot, right?
Yeah.
What's beautiful about that, imagine if you're able to build a service off of our technology from the basic migration to backup, then you can start preparing for what's to come. You could do things like, hey, let me get you ready by assessing your data estate. Because regardless if you're going to use your Copilot or not, let's face it, most organizations today has a messy data estate. They have
Totally.
redundant, outdated, trivial data. And even if you're not using Copilot, the last thing you want, you run a basic search, you don't want the TPS report from 1945 showing up. So there needs to be some proper hygiene in it. And we have technologies that partners can build a service on to perform that data hygiene exercise. Because at the very least, customers can save money from storage. You and I know there's not unlimited storage in 365. And we have a lot of partners starting to do that. And the logic behind it is, hey, customer, we're going to get your data estate ready, making sure it's clean. Things that are redundant, obsolete, and trivial, we can get rid of it or move it to a cheaper storage so you don't have to pay extra storage to Microsoft. And then when the day comes, you're ready to turn on Copilot, your data set is ready. And then the next point there is now security. Well, we all know oversharing is a problem. It's so easy for me to add Harry to a team, share this Word document to somebody, and that person shares it. That's a common problem too. That's not even a Copilot thing, right? Again, a lot of our partners are building a service on top of it, offering them, I don't know, a monthly data security package, making sure it's backed up, data is clean, and it's well secured for X dollars a user a month. And then once Copilot comes in, or when it comes in, you're all set to go. So you're absolutely right, but we have provided a way for our partners to have business today and prepare it so that when Copilot comes, they're ready to go as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Dux, in all fairness, we're having this, before we go, we're having the same talk in the ecosystem, the community about AI. So AI is, all about the CNBC business network and enterprises, and it's just hard for the little guy to get their arms around it, right? But we know it's coming.
Yeah.
And it'll probably trickle down. I mean, now's a good time to use some of the basic programs. I'm simple. I use a thing called Otter, in fact, to translate this podcast. And it's essentially learning. Every time I do a podcast translation, it's learning and it gets better and better and better. Well, that's practical, right? That makes sense. But yeah, this idea that I'm going to be all involved in NVIDIA. That's not going to happen,
right?
and by my choice. But hey, Dux, we want to keep an eye on you. Final question as we go to 25, not too far out. You and your team, you're going to hit the shows. You're going to do the show circuit again.
Oh, for sure, Harry. I'm gonna count on seeing you somewhere in 25. Definitely back at IT Nation.
Yep.
And there's tons of I'm sure a lot of different channel MSP events where we're gonna bump into each other.
Oh yeah. In fact, just as you were coming in, I was talking with your colleague about a list that a guy named Leonard in our space did. 500 globally. 500 MSP events annually. Now, those include lunch and learns. I mean, I want to be clear, 4-hour lunch and learns with red wine and steak, but Dux, that's 2 a day. And that's a whole nother podcast.
That's like a full-time job for someone.
Yeah. Dux, thanks for your time. Thank you very much.
You bet, Harry. Take care.